Hey y'all, it's Cameron. Just want to do a quick video. No, I'm kidding. I don't talk like that. But I do own a property in Texas, so you never know. The environment might impulse me enough where I start talking like that. Some of you might already think that I talk like that. Like the way I'm speaking right now, you might be like, oh, that's a Texas boy. I don't know. Out here, I sound like someone from fucking Mars. I don't know. But in any case, I wanted to talk about a point called, what is it called? It's called Why Pressure Can Be a Good Thing. No, that's not the title, actually. Hold on, let me change it. It's going to be called Why There Is No Such Thing as a Safe Space. How about that? You know who talks about safe spaces? Communists, feminists, SJWs, not people who are growing and pushing themselves and creating something that's actually best. Now I'm going to talk about safe spaces now. I want to talk about why safe spaces are bullshit in the current context of the world, the system that we live in. Ideally, the entire fucking world should be a safe space for every child that's born. For every mother that's pregnant or nursing or taking care of her children. For every father who's supporting his family. For every entrepreneur who wants to create something and build and learn from mistakes. For every architect who wants to create amazing spaces for people to experience and live in and be in. For engineers, scientists. This world, this reality should be a safe space for scientists to question results, to question narratives, to question consensus. This world should be a safe space to try new things. This world should be a safe space for people to be able to communicate with each other and persuade each other on things that are best. But it's not that, is it? That's not the world we live in. The world we live in is a fucking dark place. And I don't mean dark as in, polarity of dark and light. And, it's not even dark. You know what? When it's dark, when the fucking sun is not over you and it's nighttime, that's when it's dark. The world is a place where people do not have their basic needs met. The world is a place where children grow up in environments where they are abused and they're told they can't do things and they're not supported with the effective education to be able to even be equal to the system that is here, which is not best and which is abusive. Even if we just had that point, things would have to change very quickly because you wouldn't have a 1% controlling everybody else just based on an inequality of education, of vocabulary. The world is not a safe space for anybody. I mean, hello, were you awake the last fucking year and a half? Were you aware of what's happening in this world? It's not a safe space. Do you know where the safest space is? And I can't remember who I got this from. I think I got it from Barricade Garage on YouTube. It's a great channel. The safest place on the planet is a prison. I mean, you have 24-hour security. All your meals are provided. You got free gym equipment. You know what I mean? That's the safest place. I mean, I guess not for some. And I won't say names because I'll probably just get this video banned, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you want everything under control, that's a safe place. Like, that's what communists want to create. A safe place, a safe space for everybody, where everything you do is monitored and controlled. Where you don't have the freedom to speak, and ultimately the freedom to make mistakes. Now, the thing is, making mistakes is a part of the learning process currently, and it probably always will be. There's always going to be some level where when you're doing something you've never done before, or no one's ever done before, there's going to be mistakes. The more we align our vocabulary with what is here, so that our vocabulary becomes a map of physical reality, then the less mistakes we'll make. It's just like when you're a master at something, you don't make as many mistakes as the beginner. Why? Because your vocabulary has become aligned to how it actually fucking works. And you align, meaning physically integrated it. You express it, you live it. You do based on proper alignment of the information. When everyone is at that point at an equal level, then less mistakes will be made. But we're not there yet. See, I'm not dealing with ideals. I'm dealing with current reality. So if you try to create an environment where you're not allowed to make mistakes, what kind of fucking environment are you going to create? One where people feel empowered, or one where people feel safe? Why is safety? Well, I'll tell you, physical safety is important. It's a necessity. Why is the feeling of being safe important? If the physical environment is safe, then any feeling of unsafety that you have, that's on you. That's your projection, because the physical environment is safe. So if you're feeling unsafe in an environment that's physically safe, that's from within you. And if you try to shape an environment around those who are not taking responsibility for their feelings, you're going to create an environment where those who are don't want to be there. And then those who aren't going to have anyone to look up to and as a pattern, as a model to follow, or at least to aspire to, or at least to say, hey, I can at least get there. That person may not be all the way, but they're there and I'm here and I can get there. And then they watch that person go there and say, oh, I can get there. And maybe they end up going past them if they have the right tools, if they have the right support. But if you try to create an environment where everyone just feels safe, that's the starting point. You know what the starting point of trying to make everyone feel safe, but not actually be safe, is control. It's an elitist mindset. It's a current 1% mindset. It's the mindset of people can't change, and therefore I have to control the environment because I'm the only one who can do it. I'm the only one who can say things in a way that everyone is feeling safe. Now, I understand if you're saying, okay, well, I want to create an environment where people want to grow within, so I have to make it so that I don't repel people away right away, so that they are there long enough to grow. That's cool. But if you try to do it in a way that the people who are growing don't want to be there, then what you're going to end up doing is attracting a lot of people who are actually just fucking crazy. Because the people who just want everything to be safe are insane. They're crazy. They have lots of fucking incorrect programming and incorrect definitions of words and trauma and shit that they haven't processed. And the problem is, if you create an environment where you're just trying to make everything safe as a feeling, but not an environment where people are actually being pressured to grow, meaning not artificial pressure, but the kind of pressure where it's like the story of the chick breaking out of the egg. If you lift the egg off of the shell off of them and they don't break through, they don't develop these muscles, they will die when they get out because they won't be strong enough. They have to go through that pressure situation to make it so that when they get on the outside, they have what they need, the strength they need to continue on outside of the safety of the shell. Now, if you didn't have the shell with all of the safety within it, the shell, the yolk, what are all these points that are in the egg that support it to nurture and develop and so forth, then obviously that chick would have never gotten to that point. So there is a balance, clearly. But when you're talking about an environment that involves lots of different people at different points, you're going to have to make a choice between, are we going to make everyone feel safe? Which is, at the end of the day, what is everyone feeling safe really? It's the person who's creating the environment is able to control. You see, that's my point about the starting point. And as long as you can control them, it's like if you had a plantation of slaves, you would want everyone to feel safe. Would you want everyone to feel free? Hell no. You want them to think they're free, but you don't actually want them to be free. Like, hey guys, just whenever you feel like it, come and go to the plantation. Just show up for work on Sunday or every day at this time and this time, but I'm not going to force you to be here. And you can walk out. I'm not going to put any fences, or I'm going to make the gates easily accessible. Like, just do as you please. Why would they want to come work for you? That's too much freedom, isn't it? Oh, but I'll provide for your safety. Well, you can't provide for their safety if they're going to walk off the plantation. Then they're going to be in the outside world. They're not going to be safe there. Where is the point where they're going into the outside world and they have the skills to be able, but you wouldn't want them to have those skills, would you? Because if they go outside of that plantation and they realize, guys, we could literally just start our own farm, then they're going to do that. So you create a safe place where they feel good, because for them to learn all the things they need to manage the farm, not just work it, because the slaves only know how to work it, they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to do all the other stuff. They haven't gone through the pressure situations to be in that position. So you would never support them to develop that in the safe space, because you're going to have those. Let's just take it outside of the context of that analogy. When you're in a growth environment of in the context of what we're doing, creating a system that's best for all. People cannot do that if we're staying at the level of programming that we're at currently. If If people are not willing to go outside their comfort zone, how are we going to stand in a position of the 1% to create a system that's best? Because the people who are in that position can handle much higher levels of responsibility, stress, pressure. It's like, imagine if Bill Gates was like, hey guys, I don't really feel comfortable here. Like, can you even imagine him saying that? Now, I can imagine him saying that because he's lying, because he's manipulating, but I can't imagine him saying that actually. Like, I mean, there may be some situations where he does it, where he's a fucking failure, but in business, I don't think so. I don't think he's in a room with Larry Ellison saying, hey man, you're making me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Larry Ellison's like, good, you fucking loser. Like, you're not gonna grow if somebody else is fucking coddling you. All that you're gonna create is a situation where people look up to the leader to make them feel safe. Like, that's really the actual problem that exists within the idea of communism. Because if you really study what communism is, which I'm not advocating for communism, I'm just saying if you actually study it, there is no leader. But you can't, so how can you have a government with leaders that's communist? It doesn't make sense. But what we call communism, in the same sense that we don't actually have a real fucking democracy, which people think we do, but you don't, because you have representatives who are elected, but are elected through manipulation of media and the masses through low education. It's not real fucking democracy. So neither is it real communism. You would need a balance of both to make something work. Everybody owns everything and recognizes that tree, I don't own the tree. The tree is here. I'm here. I'm a custodian of the tree because I'm in a more effective, not effective, but I'm in a different form. So I can fuck up the soil. So if I don't take responsibility for that, I can fuck up that tree's life. So I'm responsible. That doesn't make me superior, because without that tree, or all the trees, I would be dead. I have the ability to fuck with my programming and other people's programming. That's what human beings have the ability to do through affecting environments, through creating systems. What we have at the moment in this world is a movement towards make everything safe and secure, make everything feel good. You don't want to get sick. You don't want to wash your hands. Everything's sanitized. Don't worry. When you come in here, everything's sanitized. Everyone's wearing a mask. Don't worry. Guess what? All you're doing is creating an environment where that virus is going to evolve and it's going to fuck us up. And you had these guys, these scientists saying that, and they're being censored. That doesn't mean we have to go out of our way to create environments that are hostile. I'm not saying hostiles. Hostile environments. We don't have to create hostile environments. But if you create an environment and then anybody who comes in to that environment who is actually aligned with the starting point of creating a world that's best for all, even if they make mistakes, which everyone is going to, you cannot prevent people from making mistakes. It's like if I tried to prevent my children from making mistakes when they were learning to swim or ride a bike or walk, I would have never learned. They had to fall down sometimes, and I wasn't going around knocking them over. I just allowed them to fall down. It's okay. Now, like Seneca was trying to ride a skateboard in the house without a helmet, and I said, hey Seneca, it would be really best if for now, while you're learning to balance, just go out there with the skateboard on the grass and just practice standing on it first, and then pushing a little bit. But if you want to do it on the concrete, or especially on the tile in here, you really need a helmet. She was like, oh, where's my helmet? And I said, you know what? We can't find your helmet. We're going to have to order you one. But when she has the helmet, if she just keeps standing out there on the grass, I'm going to be like, hey, Seneca, if you really want to get good at the skateboard and have fun, like you want to have fun, like you're seeing other people doing, you might want to go take it on the concrete. You got your helmet, just put it on and go. And maybe get you some knee pads, so you don't, when in the very beginning, really hurt yourself. So there's common sense. But if I was like, now I'm going to stand next to you and hold you so you never fall, how would she develop that internal physical sense of balance? And if you create an environment where you're saying like, okay, we're going to create an environment where nobody can come and persuade anybody or pressure anybody to do anything, change, sell anybody, nothing, then you're not even allowing the people who are feeling the pressure to develop the discernment in the pressure, because they're not going to be able to discern, okay, here's this person pressuring me, but what they're saying is not of value. Am I going to make a decision based on the pressure I'm feeling or on the value of what is being presented? Because the only reason why somebody would make the decision based on the pressure rather than And I'm not talking about physical, like violent pressure. I'm just talking about persuasive pressure, emotional pressure, pressure through words. If someone's making the decision based on that and not the value of what's being presented and clearly seeing that, that's just because they have a low vocabulary, and that's not an insult to anybody. It's the same reason why you have people who are broke who buy Nike shoes with every dollar they get, because they are feeling this internal peer pressure of, I want to be cool and fit in with the group, rather than what actual value does this provide for me to do more in my life. Just an example. But the reality is, you can't create an environment where people are not able to exert any level of pressure through words. Because if you do that, people like, and when I say pressure through words, I'm just saying selling. If you create an environment where you're saying it's not acceptable to sell people because you don't want anyone to feel pressured, are there people who can take that too far and even with words just like go way too far? Yes, that is possible. But those people just need to learn to get better. And I've been there, and there's levels where I can get better. And that's for everybody. Everyone, this applies to every single person on the planet, can get better at communicating and not unnecessarily manipulating emotionally when it's not necessary, or when it's not working, or when it's only creating a reaction within a person and the result is not that it supports them in any way. But at the end of the day, if you're talking to an adult, they should be able to handle any level of pressure. If you're talking to a child, it's a different story, because that child in the first 7 years is still forming their vocabulary towards the world. So if you use pressure unnecessarily, it's like with our children, we practice patience to the utmost degree, and we sometimes make mistakes. But when we see those mistakes, then we have the tools to correct it so we don't do it again. But with children, patience is very important, in not using force in the sense of pressure with words and so forth. There is a place for it. I'm just saying you want to be careful and specific, really, and self-directive within the point, because if you are experiencing emotions and that's coming through resonantly, and it's not an expression but it's really just a reaction, that will transfer to the child and they'll develop those patterns. But when you're working with adults, the thing is, they already have a first 7 years. That's already done. Now we have the tools to change that. But if you say that you can't even apply any pressure on the person to get them to use the tools, well, then they're just stuck with those first 7 years, and they'll be stuck with their fear of pressure, stuck with their fear of conflict, fear of persuasion, fear of standing up, doing anything, because they're just living out the programming from their first 7 years. And no one else on the planet has a way to change it except us. And it's not based on me as a person, as a personality, as an individual. It's not based on me. It's a technology, it's a system, it's an approach. It's not based on me. If I died, it would still work. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just an advocate. I'm just a person who's putting myself on the line, putting my life on the line to make sure that people get it. And it's not just what we do. There's other elements too that are required. And one of those is the right environment that fosters growth. But within that, selling is an absolute necessity. And selling doesn't have to be based on pressure per se, although there's always going to be some pressure element. There's the degrees of it, of course. But if anybody tells you, oh, you shouldn't use pressure on anybody, they're selling you. They're, in a very subtle way, trying to make you feel ashamed for being a bully or pushing people around, or, oh, I don't want to be perceived as pressuring. I don't give a fuck if you think I'm pressuring you. That's on you, because I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. I know my starting point. You need to get clear on your starting point. And when I say you need to, you might be like, oh, you're pressuring me. That's like if you were like, I want to have healthy teeth, and I said, you need to brush your teeth then every day. Am I pressuring you, or am I telling you the fucking truth? Look up the definition of the word need. Get clear on it. Quit making it an emotional thing. And this is the whole point of everything we're doing, is our words are so emotional. So the word pressure, the word special. If somebody says, hey, I have a special thing for you, I'm like, okay, so it's specific to me? Okay, what is it? No, it's special because you're special. No, I'm not. I'm not special. No, I wanted you to feel special. I'm not special. I tell my children they're not special. Oh, you don't tell your children they're special? How will they know they're special? They won't, because they're not. They're just human beings. Is that tree special? Huh? Tree? Is it special? Special tree? This is my special tree. I water it. I don't water the other ones because this one's special. Well, those aren't my trees, so I don't water them. Okay, but I'm still going to make sure that that guy has the access to water, that he needs to water those trees, because those trees are just as important as this tree. If this tree is the only tree on the planet, we would all die. It is not special. If I was the only person on the planet, what would be the point? I'm not special. I don't want people to follow me. What's the point? Like, why would I want to be a person who everyone else looks to take responsibility for them? I told my son, my son and daughter, we were at dinner last night, and I was talking about some points. And we were at dinner, and I said to them, I looked at both of them, they're sitting both across from me, and I said, see, I don't even sit at the head of the table. Sometimes I do. Sometimes Max does. Sometimes Seneca does. It's just a fucking table. So sometimes I want to be able to sit and see both of them. Sometimes I sit and I want to see them and I want to see Katie. And it's like musical fucking chairs at dinner time. We get up and switch places sometimes. Like, oh, hey, you need more room. Go sit over there. But I'm sitting across from the kids. There's Seneca, there's Max. And I looked at them in the eyes and I said, I was talking about something with Katie. And then Max asked a question. And I said, well, look, no one is superior to you. And I looked at Max and I said, no one is superior to you. I looked at Seneca, I said, no one is superior to you. Do you understand? And Max said, what does that mean? And I said, it means that there's no one that can take responsibility for you. And then I gave him some examples, like our neighbor. He has a tractor. And I said, what if, he came over and he helped me move my chicken coop back onto the pavers when I leveled it. And he didn't ask me for anything. And I said, hey, you want some cookies? We have some homemade cookies. And I said, I'm going to ask Katie to bake a loaf of bread for you guys. Do you eat a lot of bread? They're like, yeah. I'm like, you ever had like homemade bread? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. Do you like sourdough or do you like this? I'll have Katie make you some. Right? But then he also comes and he mows my grass, which is a lot of grass. And I pay him for that because it's a hard work. But he moved my chicken coop. I cut a piece of cedar wood for him for something he's making, some shelves, on my miter saw. And there's a point where it's like, hey, this is obviously a favor. Here's where I'm asking you to do something that, I should pay you to do this, and we talk about it. Like, do you want anything for that? His wife said, hey, do you guys like those eggs we gave you? I said, yeah, the kids love them. She said, do you want some more? I said, sure. What do you want for them? She said, nothing. And that's what neighbors are for. And I said, okay, well, I was looking, what can I give you? I don't know what I can give you. She's like, that's fine. But if she had said, okay, I want $5 a thing, I'd be like, well, okay, I can get them at the store for this, but, maybe they're better here, so I'll pay a little bit more, whatever. Like, I would look at the point. I didn't feel any pressure. I could have been like, oh, well, I feel bad, like, taking something from her. And she's like, no, this is just for you. I'm like, okay. I mean, she probably just has too many eggs to do anything with them. It's fine. Communicate. Allow people to feel pressure. It's like if you had the cure for cancer and you didn't let the person feel any pressure about doing it, and then you let them go do something else that's not best and they're going to die anyways, that's on you. And let me ask you a question. Here's the real point that we need to fucking get clear on. Let's pretend we want to be magnanimous, just caring, benevolent people. We don't want to put any pressure on anybody. We want everyone to feel good. And again, there's a place. So, am I advocating for everyone should feel bad and we should put immense pressure on every single person when they're brand new to something? No. It's like when parents try to teach their kids to drive. When you put all this pressure, it's hard. With our kids, it's like, hey, here's the car. That's the pedal. You press that. And they have a little kids UTV thing. Okay? All right. Okay, now stop for a moment. All right, look. You got to do this part and then do that. Try it out. There they go. Okay, cool. All right, turn. You got to turn. You're going to hit that thing. Bonk. All right, see what happened? You hit that thing. It's not like, no, turn. Because they don't know what you know. Like when you say, turn right, they're not maybe processing. I mean, my kids would, but I'm saying they're not maybe processing right or left in that moment because they're stressed because it's this big thing and it could hurt somebody or whatever. And they've seen videos of car accidents and all this shit, and they play that stuff in the fucking driver's ed courses where it's like they scare you. And you're like, nah, I'm going to drive this thing and I could hurt somebody. So they put it's unnecessary pressure. It doesn't support the learning process. But when you have something that is essential that a person has it, why shouldn't you apply pressure? Use discernment. Don't do it unnecessarily. And that's a growth point for myself, for everyone. Learn when to apply pressure. Learn when it doesn't work. Learn from feedback. But when you have the tools of learning, as we do, you're not afraid to make mistakes. Because if you do, you'll be like, cool. I can forgive myself. They can forgive themselves. Everyone's responsible. Let me go and upgrade myself to what I need to be able to do. And then try again. And I've placed immense pressure on some people, not in any illegal or harmful way, but just pressure through words. And they didn't like it. But a year later, they came back and they were like, you were right. You were the only person telling me the truth. And I could see that you cared. And now I see how much you and your children have grown. And I want that for my kids. And I wish I had started then. But I was too wrapped up in all my limitations. But the reason why they came back to me was because I had gotten through. Even though it wasn't, people say like, well, it's not their time. It may not be their time in this moment because they can't hear. But if I don't stand up and I'm clear with them, it'll never be their time. Because when they go through the fire and they're on the other side and they're like, I want to change now. And they start looking, there's plenty of wolves and plenty of sharks out there that are ready to pounce and take advantage of that. It's like our world is ready to change. People are ready, the internet, people are ready to not have, to decentralize things, to not have authorities tell us everything, to have more freedom, to communicate more, to connect more, to build, to grow, to create. And the sharks and the wolves are jumping right on that. They're like, oh, this energy, this, blah, 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 blah. I taste the energy, blah, blah, blah. I just love the energy. They just like to slurp it up. And they're using it to create more control. Because with freedom comes the potential for experiencing discomfort, for experiencing risk, for experiencing lack of safety. So here we are, the world is becoming more connected. Suddenly, if somebody gets the sniffles, lock down the entire fucking planet. Everyone wear masks, stand apart, don't talk to each other. Just coincidentally at the time when it's time for us to communicate and come together and decide who's going to lead our country and the world. And now we're afraid to even get close to each other and talk. The system will apply pressure. The system will apply pressure until you break and doesn't care. It is ruthless. And those who are administering the system and standing in those positions, the current 1%, they don't care. Because they know if they even question a thing, the system will come down on them and they will be kicked out and they will have no support. But here's the truth. Let me see if I can get close without being too close. You're gonna die at some point. I don't know when, you don't know when, but it's inevitable. Even the 1%, everybody eventually dies. That's a fact. If you haven't realized that, and you still believe in Santa Claus, I mean, what can I tell you? It's a fact. It's reality. You say, oh, I don't care because my spirit lives on. But you act like you care. You're not living like you don't give a fuck. And like not giving a fuck doesn't mean, oh, I'm just going to go please myself and just hurt people and whatever. That's the people who actually care about dying act that way. The people who actually don't care about dying stand up and say what the fuck needs to be said. And they don't care what other people think about them. They care about the result, and the result being best for all. And if you come at me with this, how can you determine what's best for all? Well, you seem to think you can by asking the question. If I say, let's create a world that's best for all, and you're like, you can't do that. You're going to end up hurting people, blah, blah. Well, but within that statement or that question, you think that what I'm saying is not best, which is why you're arguing against it. So you also have an opinion. I shouldn't say also, because I don't have an opinion about it. You have an opinion that you can't create a world that's best for all. You absolutely 100% can. It's like, well, it's never been done. How do you know? It's like, I know you could create a fucking bridge to the moon. I don't know how to do it, but I know it can be done with the right technology. It might take 100 fucking years to get the technology to do it, but I know it can be done. I know the earth rotates and the moon rotates, and you put gravity things and you make it so it's always in line. It's got rocket boosters, and I don't know, you fucking figure it out. It can be done. Creating a system that's best for all can be done. anybody who stands in our way. What can I say? I'm just going to persuade you. Either directly through my words or by the results, and I'm not saying like me personally, like you may not give a fuck about what I'm doing. You may not give a shit about what I say. But somebody that I influence will influence you. That's a fact. So, fuck your safe space. Let's put all our feelings aside. Let's just instead of taking selling and throwing it down the fucking toilet, why don't we take the idea of being safe and throw it in the fucking toilet and realize the world is not safe. Why? Because everyone is focused on survival, competition. Let's create a system where that is a guaranteed, like, I'll tell you what, right now, I am not thinking about oxygen. I'm not worried about it. I know it's going to be here. Now, if you put me in a fucking box and seal it up, I'm going to start to worry about oxygen. And what we've done with this amazing fucking planet is we're putting everybody in boxes mentally so they can't breathe and they can't express themselves. Inspire means to breathe in. To express means to breathe out. And when you can't breathe, and how do you inspire somebody? You fucking sell them. You put pressure. It's like if I say, hey, look, man, I'm going to do this thing, and I can only have room for 10 people, and I've already got 9 spots, and I really would like you to come, but there's only 9 spots left, and I'm going to talk to other people about it. You might want to hurry up. Is that pressure? Obviously. You can't not put pressure. You can't not put pressure when you speak, because speaking is vibrating your vocal cords, which vibrates the air molecules, which sends pressure waves through the fucking air into your ear, hitting your eardrum, sending electrical impulses to your brain, which creates electrical gradients, which is a form of pressure. You can't not exert pressure. Vibration is pressure. If you fucking tell me not to create pressure, that's like saying just die. That's not acceptable. I won't accept it. And I won't allow other people to accept it. Even the person telling me not to do it. Use discernment. Take self-responsibility. And if someone is feeling like I represent some kind of negative pressure, listen to what I'm saying right now. Listen to what I'm saying. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. Listen to this whole video. Go watch my other videos. You'll see who I am. Who are you? Who the fuck are you saying don't create pressure on people? You're trying to create pressure on me to not create pressure. Fuck you. Create an environment. Create a system that removes survival pressure for everyone. Then we can talk about the safe space, because that will be the safe space by default. Every child will have that from birth. Proper education, all the basic necessities. My wife is brilliant. She just made I think it was a video. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw the title on Facebook. It said, "Happiness is a warm sun." And like, that's so brilliant. It's having sunshine. It's having the necessities, relationships. And it's also a reference to the Beatles song, which is pretty cool. But to sit here and fucking whine about your safety, your feeling of not feeling safe and feeling pressured, while people starve, while people die, while people are locked down, and you're sitting in a first world on your fat fucking ass, eating greasy potato chips, jerking off to porn, because I guarantee you anybody who's complaining about any kind of pressure that they feel is fucking jerking off to porn. I used to do that. I fucking understand the urges. I understand the pressures. I understand what it is to be a male and to have sexual urges. But it depletes you. It fucks with your mind. It's the same thing as why I don't drink alcohol, why I don't smoke pot, why I don't do drugs anymore. Because all that stuff fucks with your mind. And it makes you weak. And it makes you afraid of pressure. I'm not here to stay the same. I'm not here to stay static. That's not life. Life is expansion within and beyond limits. It's expansion within the limits that you can perceive, and then expansion beyond those limits, until you find the real fucking limits. And then you figure out, how do you change those limits? Life doesn't stop. It's a principle. What do you not understand about life? It's a principle. It's all it is. And you're either expanding within and beyond limits, or you're not. You're accepting limits. And if you're accepting limits, fuck you. You need the pressure because you're holding everyone else back. I'm also holding everyone else back by accepting limitation. You are me in another life. When I look at someone else, why should I have stars in my eyes? Because I want to be the star. That's the only reason why, is because you see them as the star because you wish you could be the star. So you let them be the star. So at least it's like someone gets to be the star. Fuck stars. The only stars are up there. And you can see them at night when it's dark, ironically. If you want to see stars in your eyes, close your eyes and rub your eyes. And you see little tiny stars and like weird fucking colors and shapes and shit. If you have stars in your eyes for somebody else, you're a fucker. And someone needs to pressure you to wake the fuck up, because there's only two options. As Bernard Pullman said, you can either be equal or less than equal. And you can't be one with something you're not equal to. So don't fucking talk about, I'm one with the universe. I am one with source. No, you're not, because you're not equal to it. You're just pretending. You're imagining it. You can do all kinds of things in your imagination. My kids imagine all kinds of things and pretend, but they know they're pretending. They're smarter than you. They know they're pretending. People who say they're one with source and fucking everything, you're pretending and you don't even realize you're lying to yourself. Stop it. Are you one with that tree? Are you even equal to it? That tree just sits there every day and provides oxygen. It takes and it gives. It takes what it needs and it gives what we need. You can't even do that. You can't even fucking put your emotions aside to do what's best. Greedy. It's like Avery said, stop being greedy, start being grateful. And I'm not talking about that fake bullshit gratitude like, oh, I got a check in the mail, I'm so grateful for the universe. No, be grateful for the oxygen, be grateful for the soil, be grateful for your body, for being here, for having life. And then don't take anything for granted. And create systems that are best. Use the position you're in and go further. That's it.